there was not a rejection of the Democratic agenda. Because in point of fact, when voters had the ability to directly vote on things, whether it was crackdown on predatory lenders or safe pensions or pass minimum wage or turn back anti-choice measures or legalize marijuana and reform our criminal justice system, they did it. The progressive agenda succeeded. When voters could take matters into their own hands, they did it.
Right. And I was going to ask you.
That's the real challenge.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. First of all, I think I'm sure you're right when you say that voters were sending a message with their Senate votes that, let's try change. It can't get any worse. I wish someone had told them, oh, yes, it can.
Well, I know. Exactly.
But nobody did, apparently, and that gets to a piece I'll put aside for a second, which is really explaining the obstructionist Republicans and whether that was ever done. But I think you touched on something I definitely wanted to raise with you, which is they rejected Democrats, but in state after state, including these solidly GOP states, they voted to increase the minimum wage, and as you say, predatory lenders and choice and issue after issue of medical marijuana, except in Florida.
Right, and we didn't win these things just in liberal coastal states. I mean, we won minimum wage in places like South Dakota and Arkansas. We won some of these other measures, pensions in Arizona. I mean, we didn't win these in bastions of liberal thinking.
Right.
We won these in tough conservative states. We beat back anti-choice measures in North Dakota. I mean, these are not, it wasn't because, California and New York passed these things. Quite the contrary.
Yeah, and that gets to the essential paradox, it seems to me, of today's electorate. We're talking with Celinda Lake of Lake Research Partners, which is we have conservative voters who vote for progressive measures when they get the chance. We have voters who, when they get the chance, embrace the Democratic agenda, but when it comes to politicians, vote Republican. So that's why I bring up the issue of branding. It seems to me the wires are crossed somewhere in this electorate, and there's got to be a way to untangle them. The impression I get of this wave process, as you speak about it, I'm getting the mental image of, a chain reaction going out of control. We almost lost Detroit.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, that once it starts generating and building up momentum, it reaches a point of no return. And maybe that in order to have avoided this wave, we would have had to roll back the clock to a year ago or 18 months ago and branded the Democratic Party as really different. And I guess the piece that I would also add to this, of course, that we've been alluding to, but not directly addressing, is the role of the president himself in all this and the extent to which, if perhaps he had at least begun his second administration by saying, I have this agenda of A, B, C, and D, and this will help you, and I'm going to fight for you and make sure we create jobs and have an equitable tax system and give you stronger wages and a stronger minimum. I mean, he said those things at times, but if he had said, I'm fighting, these guys are stopping me every step of the way, could we somehow have nipped this wave in the bud?
Well, I think we could have definitely nipped this wave in the bud. And I think that one of the ways we could have nipped this wave in the bud is, I believe, and I have argued it vocally for a year, I think the president, in early this year, April, May of this year, for his own job approval numbers, should have said, we've made this progress. It's not good enough. Here's what we're going to do. And we're going to fight every day to get this economy going. And we're not going to stop until this economy offers opportunity for everyone's kid, no matter what zip code you live in, and offers prosperity for every family, no matter where you are. And, here's what we're going to do. And it can't just be minimum, as much as these policies are popular, it can't just be raising the minimum wage and equal pay, because, in the end, those are good things, but that's not a major economic presidential platform.
Right. And I've always said that we're talking. With
you said it. Where's the jobs program? When are you announcing?
Right, exactly, and I've always, people talk about low information voters, but I've always said, every voter has high information about their own life.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And they know,
and they pay attention to things that affect their lives.